Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something that I think is really valuable for anyone who's working in adult social care,
Oh, absolutely.
and that is the Care Show London 2025.
Yes.
It's happening from April 30th to May 1st at Excel London, and we've been taking a look at it and just thinking about what makes this a really significant event, for the whole sector.
Yeah, it's a big one. And I think the thing that kind of jumps out right away is that it's free.
Yes.
It's completely free for people who are working in adult social care. So you've got 2 whole days there dedicated to learning, connecting, and exploring the latest innovations, all without, having to pay anything.
Yeah, and that's huge for anyone who's working on the front lines or in management in the sector. That
Yeah.
free access is such a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a bit about what's actually at this event.
Sure.
The program is designed to boost care quality,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a huge range of exhibitors showcasing potential solutions. It's all about bringing the care community together to work towards shaping a better future.
Yeah, and the scope of it is quite remarkable, I think.
Yeah.
We're looking at a program that's got over 180 expert speakers in it,
Ah.
a large exhibition floor with more than 200 healthcare suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
So, that suggests a really comprehensive overview of what's going on at the moment and potential solutions.
Yeah.
And, in terms of actual education and training,
Mm-hmm.
there are over 60 hours of it scheduled across 6 different theaters.
6 theaters.
6 theaters.
Wow. And I mean, each one is kind of dedicated to a different focus.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I thought was really interesting for 2025 is they've got a brand new catering, hydration, and nutrition theater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, considering how, vital food and drink are in providing good care.
Yeah, of course.
This seems like a really insightful addition.
Yeah, and I think, if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
the CQC is, they're increasingly emphasizing the nutritional well-being of the people in care.
Right.
So to have this dedicated space to explore this,
Yeah.
with live cooking demonstrations and talks from experts,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incredibly relevant and timely,
Yeah.
particularly for care providers who are trying to, meet those standards
Yeah.
and make sure that the residents are, happy and healthy.
Absolutely. So if you're listening in and you're part of the adult social care sector,
Yes.
this is really, this whole deep dive is designed for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to really highlight the aspects of the Care Show London that we think should resonate with, your interest in staying informed and discovering new opportunities.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I thought was really interesting is they have some pretty big names contributing to
Yes.
the show this year.
The celebrity speakers.
Yeah, celebrity speakers. Yeah, exactly.
Always a good draw.
It is.
And, their involvement can be a powerful way, I think, to, bring wider attention to important issues within the sector.
Absolutely.
So, we've got David Baddiel, for example, the
Yeah.
comedian and author, who's
Mhm.
also an ambassador for Alzheimer's Research UK.
Right.
He's going to be doing a fireside chat
Oh, wow.
called My Dad and Dementia on May 1st in the Care Kino Theater.
Okay.
And the fireside chat in this context, usually means, a sort of informal
Yeah.
and conversational discussion.
Right.
So you can go into more depth about personal experiences and perspectives and things like that.
Yeah.
And David obviously has a personal connection to dementia, so it should be a really interesting session, I think.
Yeah. I mean, dementia care is such a crucial area, and often it's a really challenging area as well.
Absolutely.
So to hear from someone like David who's, had that personal experience and
Yeah.
also has that public platform to talk about it is probably going to spark some really important conversations and raise a lot more awareness.
Absolutely.
We also have Anna Richardson,
Yes.
who a lot of people will know as a broadcaster.
Yes, very well-known broadcaster.
Yeah. She's also an Alzheimer's champion.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. What's really notable, I think, about Anna's involvement is that she's really engaged with the event.
Yeah.
She's chairing the Care Keynote Theater on April 30th,
Wow.
and also she's leading a session called Exploring Dementia in conversation with Anna Richardson on the same day.
Oh, wow.
And then on top of that, she's listed for another appearance on May 1st in the conference program,
Okay.
although we don't know exactly what she'll be talking about then.
Right.
But yeah, her dedication to this cause is fantastic.
Yeah.
She really champions the cause of people affected by Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And I think she's going to bring, valuable insights and a strong voice to these discussions.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like dementia is going to be a really significant area of focus at the event, and having those kinds of figures involved really underscores how important it is.
Absolutely.
And then we also have Rosemary Schrager,
Oh,
who
yes.
people might recognize from the culinary world.
A very well-known chef, TV personality, and author. She's going to be doing Care to Cook,
Oh,
a fireside chat
okay.
on April 30th. And that'll be in that new Catering, Hydration, and Nutrition Theater.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so, her culinary expertise and, her passion for good food, I think that's going to be fantastic for these discussions about, the role of nutrition and care.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting to see that blend of perspectives, isn't it?
It is.
You've got entertainment, personal experience with, a critical condition like dementia,
Yeah.
and then this sort of practical, culinary skills all coming together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that really stood out to me when we were looking at the Care Show London is the really significant presence of the CQC,
Oh, yes.
the Care Quality Commission,
Oh, yeah.
and all the different ways that they're contributing.
That's right. And I think that's crucial, really, for anyone who's working in adult social care. Staying up to date with regulations and best practices is paramount.
Yeah.
And the Care Show provides that direct access to insights from the regulator.
Right.
So, for instance, on April 30th in a Care Keynote Theater, Stefan Cali, who's the Deputy Director of Adult Social Care at the CQC,
Right.
he's presenting an update on CQC's dementia strategy.
Right.
So, understanding their priorities in this specific area is vital for providers.
Definitely. And then there's also a session
Yeah.
on the same day in the Care Keynote Theater called Compliance and Regulation, an update on the CQC framework.
Okay.
And that one features Louis Wirth and Sue Sheath.
Yeah, that's so important because, the framework is constantly evolving.
It is, yeah.
And, providers really need to understand the latest updates to, maintain those good ratings and avoid penalties.
Absolutely. And then it continues on May 1st with an update from the CQC in the Care Keynote Theater. And this is actually delivered by James Bullion, CBE,
Wow.
who is the Chief Inspector of Adult Social Care and Integrated Care.
Yeah, so, hearing directly from the Chief Inspector,
Yeah,
that's a valuable opportunity, I think,
it is.
to understand the CQC's overall direction and priorities for the coming year.
Yeah, for sure. And then beyond these sort of broader updates, there are also some, more targeted sessions involving the CQC. So, for example, there's a masterclass called Succeeding with CQC in 2025
Oh, wow.
on April 30th
Okay.
in the Care Providers Voice Masterclasses,
Right.
led by Louis Wirth.
Okay.
And these masterclasses are kind of, more hands-on, they're more practical.
Yeah, they're more practical. Yeah.
They're looking at specific topics in more detail.
Yeah.
This one sounds really valuable for care providers who are preparing for inspections or going through inspections.
Absolutely. And, it kind of underlines the variety of learning formats
Yeah.
that they've got available at the show. You've got the big keynote presentations and
Yeah.
then these smaller, more interactive, focused masterclasses as well.
Exactly. There's also a session in the Outstanding Society's Learning Lounge on April 30th called Beyond Compliance, partnering with the CQC for continuous improvement, what good dementia care looks like.
Okay.
And Stefan Talley is part of this one as well.
Right.
So it seems like this one is looking at, how to actually work with the CQC collaboratively to not just meet the minimum standards, but to actually excel in providing really high quality dementia care.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal.
And then it's not just about, actually delivering the care.
Yeah.
There's a session on caring for the environment, how to meet CQC's sustainability requirements
Oh, wow. Okay.
on May 1st in the People and Business Theater.
So, they're kind of expanding to include broader aspects of sustainability and care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it just sort of shows how, the expectations within the sector are changing.
They are, yeah.
And it's so important to stay informed across all these different areas
Absolutely.
that are, impacting care quality and regulatory compliance.
Yeah, for sure.
So the CQC's presence is, it's really significant.
It is.
And it just emphasizes how important this event is for, anyone who's navigating that regulatory landscape.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the CQC and all their valuable insights. We've talked about the celebrity speakers and the kind of, different perspectives that they bring.
Yeah.
But it also seems like a really key strength of the Care Show London is how much care providers themselves are participating and sharing their own experiences.
Absolutely. I think that peer-to-peer learning is just so vital.
It is.
Hearing directly from the people who are working on the ground, managing care homes.
Yeah. Leading care organizations.
Yeah.
That provides practical knowledge that you just don't get anywhere else.
They don't.
And the speaker list is extensive
Yeah.
and incredibly diverse.
It is.
Featuring people in such a wide range of roles. We've got care home managers like Leanne Scrogum and Tajai Young. And then we've got CEOs and directors of care organizations like Carolina Gerlich,
Right.
Anna Knight,
Yeah.
Jay Heath, Daniel Rowart, Anita Assel, MBE,
Oh.
Mike Padham, Raina Summerson.
Wow.
I mean, the list goes on.
It does.
And then you've got chefs and nutritionists as well.
Right.
Like Samuel Sewell and Eva Humphreys.
Yeah.
Sharing their specific knowledge.
It's a fantastic mix
It is.
of roles and experiences.
Yeah.
And it really reflects how complex the adult social care sector is.
Absolutely. And, it's not just individual providers either. You've got representatives from
Important care-related organizations like the Care Workers Charity and Dorset Care Association
Right.
contributing as well.
Yeah. And that kind of collective, wisdom sharing can be so powerful
It can.
for driving positive change.
Absolutely.
And it's not just, individuals speaking.
Yeah.
They've actually got specific sessions that are designed to facilitate that exchange of knowledge and practical tips.
Right.
So, for instance, on April 30th in the Care Keynote Theater, there's a session called 30 Game-Changing Ideas for Care Homes in 30 Minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's going to feature multiple care leaders sharing, really quick, actionable takeaways.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so you can get all those practical ideas in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, I like that.
And then there are also those care providers' voice master classes that
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that are really tailored for learning directly from practitioners. So, for example, on May 1st,
Okay.
there's one that's focusing on reducing costs through supply chain, a review of efficiency and cost analysis.
Way.
And this features directors and a home manager.
Okay.
So, it's really about that on-the-ground perspective
Yeah.
on, this really critical aspect of running a care home.
Absolutely.
Looking at things like procurement of medical supplies,
Yeah.
food, all the essential resources.
Yeah, that's a big challenge for a lot of providers.
It is.
Keeping costs down.
Yeah.
So that's a very timely session.
Yeah, it is. And then we shouldn't forget about the Outstanding Society's Learning Lounge,
Yes.
which, by its very nature is about connecting with care providers who have already achieved those top CQC ratings.
Exactly. And that's invaluable, isn't it?
It is.
To be able to learn from those who are demonstrating best practices
Yeah.
and exceeding expectations.
Absolutely. So, I think to kind of summarize,
Yeah.
the Care Show London in 2025 really does seem like a comprehensive and accessible event. It's for anyone who's working in adult social care,
Absolutely.
especially because it's free for care providers.
Yeah. And it brings together such a compelling mix of voices.
Yeah.
You've got the, big name contributions from people like David Baddiel, Anna Richardson, Rosemary Schrager,
Yeah.
who, can bring broader attention to those key areas like dementia and nutrition.
Yeah. And then you've got the direct engagement of the CQC,
Yeah.
providing those crucial updates on the regulatory landscape, strategies, compliance, which are so vital for everyone to understand.
Absolutely.
And then crucially, you've got all that practical knowledge and real-world experience
Yeah.
being shared by all these different care providers,
Yeah.
offering, those insights and best practices that people can actually use
Yeah.
within their own organizations.
Absolutely.
So it's a fantastic opportunity
It is.
for the sector to learn and grow together.
Yeah, definitely.
So, for you, our listener, if attending the Care Show London is a possibility, it definitely sounds like a really valuable way
It does.
to gain that essential knowledge, build connections, and discover the latest innovations
Yeah.
within the adult social care sector.
Absolutely.
Even if attending in person isn't an option for you. Keeping an eye out for any resources or key takeaways that might emerge from the event could still be really beneficial
Definitely.
for staying informed and inspired.
And, that kind of leads me to a question for you.
Okay.
Considering everything that we've talked about
Mm-hmm.
with the Care Show London,
Yeah.
the fact that it's free for care providers,
Yeah.
the involvement of these big names,
Yeah.
raising awareness,
Hmm.
the direct engagement with the CQC,
Yeah.
all this sharing of practical expertise
Yeah.
from, your fellow providers.
Mm.
What do you think is one key area?
Okay.
Maybe something to do with dementia care or, regulatory updates or operational efficiency.
Yeah.
What do you feel would be most impactful for you or
Mhm.
your organization
Okay.
to explore further?
I think that's a great question for everyone to consider.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.